Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's 20-minute benefits buzz. Before we begin, please note we will share the recording and a follow-up email sometime early next week. And if you have any questions, please drop them into the Q&A. And without further ado, let's start today's buzz. I am pleased to introduce you to Elena Gambin, Chief Strategy Officer and Chief Growth Officer here at First Stop Health. Elena, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself?
Everyone, it's good to be with you again today. We are going to go through, I think, what is kind of a fun topic today, which is the title of the event is "What's Cooking This Month," because it is Nutrition Month. And part of why this is important is not just because it's Nutrition Month. Part of why this is important is because the ecosystem of conversation right now is a lot to do with weight loss and weight loss drugs, as well as kind of whole person care. And so this honestly couldn't be more timely, and we're going to tie some of those threads in. But it's also timely because on a personal note, I just started a sourdough starter, and I am becoming a baking fanatic. And I have been thinking a lot about how to weave more nutrition exercises into my day. So it's kind of a fun thing to think through. And I would ask you all, kind of outside of what you're going to learn today about First Stop Health, to just think a little bit about how you can make some nutritional improvements in your life, even if it's just adding more water to your day-to-day. But for those of you who don't remember or who have never met us before, First Stop Health is a direct virtual care company. We have over 1,000 clients nationally and almost 1 million members nationwide. We are serving clients across the spectrum of industries, from trucking companies to manufacturing to law firms, and funding structures and size. So we have 50 life fully insured groups and 10, 20,000 part-time populations. So we really are in service of all. The number one question and sort of talk track that we are having right now in the market is how our virtual services are supporting the weight loss goals or the nutritional needs of our clients and their patients. So that's where we're going to focus today. If you'll flip to the next slide. And I want to talk a little bit about why we have improved our talk track and our products around nutrition support. Outside of what I just told you, which is that it's market sort of active right now, is that there is a real need here, not just in our population that we serve, but more broadly. Our average BMI of our patients is 31. And for those of you who don't know what BMI is, it's body mass index, and a BMI of over 30 is registered as overweight. As you grow up in the 30s, bordering and then entering obesity. Folks who use our nutrition support in the form of talking to either a certified diabetes educator or a registered dietitian, specifically focused on behavior change, lose an average of 12 pounds. And this is all very interrelated with comorbidities and the GLP-1 debate. We've also kind of made this stride because it's a natural extension of what we do today. Our virtual care services, which are virtual primary care, virtual urgent care, and virtual mental health, are very well suited to anchoring alongside specialist support from registered dietitians and diabetes educators. We are focused on getting routine touch points. We create goal-based interactions, and all of these folks are literally trained and educated in behavior specialization. So we aren't just there for a patient once a year. We are creating ongoing relationships that help them kind of take a hold of their life. And this natural match is quite nice, because we know that patients who are struggling with weight or are struggling with nutrition, not only is there a Venn diagram and an overlap with basic human needs and culture, like financial status and kind of historical relationship with food, but there's also an overlap with true medicalized health. So primary care, mental health implications, people who are overweight have a higher percent likelihood of experiencing other chronic diseases. And so if you kind of marry this true nutrition support with counseling and diagnostic support from a doctor, as well as an understanding of a person's lived reality, you kind of get the trifecta of addressing this weight epidemic, if you will, in the United States. So let's talk about the entry points of how a patient might get into nutrition support on the next slide. There's really, and this follows our general philosophy, which is meet patients where you are. So when we think about how people might get engaged with us, we might be first interacting with the patient in a completely unrelated way. So we might be first interacting with them because they've had an on-site biometric with us, and we've taken abdominal circumference and weighed them and recognized that they have a BMI that would need a little bit of extra help. And then we proactively get them in touch with our doctors and our nutritionists. They might start with us as a mental health patient, talking about their depression and their anxiety, and we recognize and they talk about their relationship with their body. We might first talk to them at 2 a.m. because their kiddo has an ear infection and it doesn't have anything to do with them. But if we create a moment of pleasure out of a moment of pain and build trust, they're more likely to come back to us and create their own health journey. These individuals that are supporting these patients on the next slide, as I've kind of alluded to, are highly specialized in what they're doing. And this is part of our coaching service that wraps around our enhanced primary care. If you aren't familiar with what that is, reach out to your client care or sales representative to learn more. These coaches learn about patient needs and goals, assess readiness to change, use psychographic profiling to understand what the potential gaps might be for a patient. That patient and that coach that set long-term and short-term incremental goals with accountability and checkpoints, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly. And lastly, they're providing steerage to other benefits that might be available or needed based on the clinical experience the patient is having. The root of the success here is in the informational interviewing that we do. So let's look at an example. If a patient comes to us and they have a weight loss goal, they might enter a coaching ecosystem that we call Healthy Weight. So what we do in this environment is a patient who's matched with a health coach or a dietitian asks questions around movement and energy, work-life balance, stress management, sleep habits, emotional health, mindful eating, to get an understanding of where is that patient in their relationship with their body and with food. Questions might be, how well do you sleep at night? Because that has an implication. Questions might be, how do you feel about your eating or hydration habits? There might be a barrier between the knowledge that something needs to change and the change itself. What brings you joy? How can you increase movement and have fun at the same time? Again, we're really thinking about these people, not as patients, but as humans who live lives. And that's an important component in this. And ultimately, what are the barriers outside of just confusion or feeling stuck to having a better relationship with your weight? It might be financial. It might be cultural. The same goes when we're talking to a patient in a certified diabetes environment. This is where we are addressing weight in relationship to a true diabetes diagnosis. And so in this environment, we're asking similar questions in similar veins. Understanding a coping skill of a patient, understanding their relationship with taking medication, what motivates them to exercise. So the way that this kind of coalesces and is sort of comes into reality is in a patient story. We had a patient who was a 51-year-old male. He had a BMI of 57, which is morbidly obese at 378 pounds, an A1C of 6.9. So for those who don't know, this indicates that he has pretty uncontrolled diabetes. He was also comorbid for hypertension and sleep apnea. And during our conversations with them, we assessed that he was ready to change his stress, diet, and exercise. All of the signals and the communication and the positioning indicated that he wanted to make this change, but he significantly lacked motivation and confidence. And so some of the interventions that we created for him were regular health screenings, regular sessions that were targeted around celebrating wins, making sure that this patient had ongoing sessions with a dietitian so that he could feel confident in his food choices, armed with knowledge. And the outcome were that he actually lost 70 pounds over the course of about a year with us, dropped his A1C, and then was able to improve his sleep and consistently exercise and be more adherent to his hypertension and his diabetes medications. And the quote we received was, having the support and someone to talk to gave me motivation and confidence to change. I'm taking care of my health and feeling better overall in my mind and body. And this was not a simple fix. This was not a magic pill. This was hard work on his part and our part over a long term using science and evidence-based tactics and a little bit of human touch. So if you are curious about how we approach coaching generally, or weight loss solutions, or managing through this very complex GLP-1 debate, please reach out to us. We have a lot to say about it and a lot of ways that we can be custom and understand how you and your clients, or if you are an employer, how you want to handle this type of engagement, because it matters and it has a lot of implications for the overall health of the population.
Thank you so much, Elena. Wonderful presentation as always. And thank you to everybody for joining us today. We have some exciting buzzes coming up in April and May, so stay tuned for those topics. And thank you again for your time. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Bye, everyone.